Go out to almost any old barn in this part of the country and there is cast iron in it, propping a door open, sitting on a shelf under 60 years of dust with a mouse nest in it, hung on a nail in a corner nobody has needed anything from since the last person who cooked with it passed. Black scaled over with rust, and to look at it you would swear it was finished. In December of 2024, a skillet that looked about like that sold at auction for $3,249. At a specialist cast iron auction the same year, one brought $9,500. The top piece of that day went for $10,000. Here is the part that should bother you. A skillet weighs about 4.5 pounds, and scrap iron pays somewhere around a nickel to a dime a pound. So a pan carried out to the scrap trailer brings you 30 or 40 cents, and the man at the scale knows exactly what he is weighing. My name is Walter Northwood, and today we are counting down 10 cast iron pans still sitting in barns and cellars right now, from the ones almost everybody has to the one at the very top of the mountain. After each one I will give you a short checklist so you can actually use this, and by the end you will be able to pick up any old pan. Turn it over and know in about 30 seconds whether you are holding a $40 skillet or a four-figure one. Before we start, drop a comment and tell me where you are watching from and whether there is an old barn or a cellar on the property. Minnesota, Alabama, somewhere across the water, doesn't matter. I read them. And stay with me through number 3, because that is the pan that gets faked more than anything else on this list. And if you do not know what the real one looks like, you can talk yourself into a payday that is not there. Now let me be straight with you, before we count a single pan, because most videos on this subject will not be. Most old cast iron is not worth thousands of dollars. It is not close. A common Wagner number 8 in good shape runs $40 to $60. The same size Griswold with a large block logo runs $80 to $120. Those are honest numbers for genuinely nice old pans, and they are nowhere near the auction headlines. The headline pieces are outliers, and they are outliers because of rarity, not age. Old is common, rare is valuable. Those are two different things, and every person who gets burned in this hobby got burned by confusing them. But rare is also sitting in a shed somewhere with a mouse nest in it. That is the whole reason we are doing this. Before the countdown, 5 things to know that apply to every pan you will ever pick up. First, the cooking surface. Run your thumb around the inside of a brand new skillet, and it feels like fine sandpaper. That is what iron looks like straight out of a sand mold. The old foundries did not stop there. They ground and machined that surface slick as window glass because a woman buying a pan in 1910 would not accept a rough one. That step cost labor, and one by one the American foundries quit doing it to save money. A genuinely smooth cooking surface is your first clue you are holding something old, before you even turn it over. Second, weight. Set an old 12-inch pan next to a modern one, and the old one feels almost hollow. Thin iron heats faster, and a farm cook noticed if a big pan feels wrong in your hand, too light for what your eyes are telling you, turn it over immediately. Third, the heat ring. That is the raised ring running around the outer edge of the bottom, and it generally means the pan was made before about 1940. Here is what it was actually for, because most people get this wrong. Stovetops then were not flat. A wood or coal cook stove had round openings in the top called eyes with removable lids. The heat ring let the pan seat down into that eye and seal against it, so smoke stayed in the stove and went up the flue instead of into the kitchen. And so the pan sat steady instead of rocking. When stoves went flat and modern, the ring had no job left, and the foundries quit spending iron on it. Fourth, the size number. There is a number cast into the bottom of nearly every old skillet, and almost everyone assumes it means inches. It does not. That number matched the stove eye the pan was built to sit in, which is why a number 8 is not 8 inches, it is about 10.5. Every company numbered a little differently. Fifth, and do this before anything else, take the pan somewhere with good light and angle a flashlight low across the bottom, so the light rakes sideways across it. Raised letters throw shadows in raking light and disappear entirely under a light straight overhead. That one trick will show you marks you would swear were not there. Every serious collector does it. All right, number 10. Number 10, the Unmarked Lodge 3-notch. Lodge is the last of the old American foundries still running, down in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee. And because they are still in business, people assume every Lodge is a common store shelf pan. Most are, but Lodge did not put their name on their pans for decades. So the older ones are unmarked, and people walk right past them hunting a logo. The tell is the heat ring, which on these is broken by 3 small notches spaced around it. Those notches were engineered to sit steady on the electric stoves that were coming in at the time. 3-notch Lodge pieces run from about 1940 into the early 90s, and a good one sits around $50 to $55. Not a fortune. But it is money, and it is repeatable, and it is the kind of pan that goes on the scrap trailer by the dozen. Your checklist. 1. Count the notches in the heat ring. 2. No maker name at all. 3. If it says SK and Made in USA, it is one of the later ones and worth less. Number 9. The Unmarked Local Foundry Pan with a gate mark. Flip the pan and look for a rough raised line, usually running straight across the middle of the bottom, noticeably coarser than the iron around it. That is a gate mark. The scar left where molten iron was poured into the mold and the tab broken off. The foundries largely stopped making gate-marked pieces by around 1930, so that mark alone tells you the pan is genuinely old. Most of these carry no maker's name whatsoever, because a great many came out of small local foundries that never marked anything, and that is exactly why they get thrown away. A common gate-marked skillet can be under $100. A large one, or an unusual shape, runs into several hundred. Your checklist. 1. Rake the light and feel for a coarse raised seam. 2. No name is not the same as no value. 3. Look for 3 small legs on the very oldest, because those stood in fireplace coals. Number 8. Wagner Ware out of Sydney, Ohio. Wagner is one of the 2 big names you will actually run into, and their logo went through a parade of versions, which is a gift because you can date a pan by reading the bottom. Look for Wagner Ware with Sydney and an O beside it. A common Wagner number 8 is a $40 to $60 pan, but a Wagner Ware number 13 sold for $949 in November of 2024. Same maker, same era, and the only thing separating them is how many were made. Your checklist. 1. Read the logo version. 2. A heat ring pushes it earlier and higher. 3. Check the size number before you get excited. Number 7. Favorite Cookware. And this is the friendliest looking pan in all of cast iron. Made by the Favorite Stove and Range Company in Pequot, Ohio, and the logo is a smiling sun face cast right into the bottom with a curved line under the name that reads like a grin. Once you have seen it, you cannot mistake it for anything else. They cast these from about 1916 to 1934, so the company has been gone for 90 years, and there is only so much of it left. These generally run below Griswold money, but the harder sizes climb, and the number 7 is one of the tougher ones to turn up. Your checklist. 1. The smiling face and the curved line under the name. 2. A smooth machined interior. 3. Check for the heat ring, because these were made right through that era. Number 6. Griswold with the small logo. Griswold ran out of Erie, Pennsylvania from 1865 to 1957, and it is the premier name in this world. The small logo, roughly 1909 through the 20s, has Griswold in a small slanted font inside a cross, usually with Erie, Pennsylvania underneath it. This is the everyday Griswold, and it is what most surviving ones wear. A number 8 in this logo is a $40 to $100 pan, and that is exactly what makes it useful. It is common enough that you will actually find one. Your checklist. 1. Small slanted letters inside a cross. 2. ERE Pennsylvania below. 3. Feel the back of the handle for a raised ridge, which is a Griswold tell that still works when the bottom is unreadable. Number 5. Griswold with the large block logo. Same company, earlier coat. Roughly 1924 to 1940, Griswold in big block letters inside a cross. A number 8 in this logo runs 80 to 120, and here is the shortcut worth memorizing. Large block logo plus a heat ring means almost certainly pre-1940. 2 marks, 1 date range, no guessing. And one warning that matters. In the 1950s, Wagner bought the Griswold facility, and the name and pieces from that late period say Griswold and do not carry the same value at all. The name alone is not the answer. The name plus the logo plus the era is the answer. Your checklist. 1. Large block letters. 2. Heat ring present. 3. Do not let the word Griswold do your thinking for you. Quick pause. If you are getting something out of this, take a second and subscribe, because I put these together from real auction records rather than repeating what everybody else says. And the next one might be the one that matches what is sitting in your own cellar. Now number 3 is coming. But first, number 4. Number 4, the odd size in any good maker. This is the one almost nobody knows, and it is where a great deal of the money actually hides. The number 8 was the standard family skillet, and they were made by the millions, which is exactly why finding one is not a lottery ticket. The value is in the sizes nobody needed. A number 2 is tiny. A 13 or a 20 is big enough that most kitchens had no use for one. So the foundries made far fewer survived, and collectors working to complete a run of sizes will pay real money for the hard ones. Rare sizes and specialty pieces, waffle irons and certain muffin pans among them, run from about $200 up to $1,500. A Griswold number 13 with a slant logo brought $2,799. Your checklist. 1. Find the number. 2. Anything unusually small or unusually large, stop. 3. An odd size in a good maker is worth more than a common size in a great one. Number 3, and this is the one I told you to stay for, the Wapak Indian head. Wapak Hollowware was a small foundry in Wapakoneta, Ohio, running from the early 1900s until it went bankrupt and closed in 1926. On some of their pens, they cast a Native American profile into the bottom, and that single mark is the whole ballgame. The same pan without it is an ordinary skillet. With it, a number 7 in strong condition sits around $250 to $300, and the value tracks closely with how much wear that profile has taken. But here is why I told you to wait. That mark has been reproduced, and the modern imitations fool people constantly. Genuine Wapak castings are notably light and notably smooth, better finished than the foundry's own unmarked work, because the men making them clearly took pride in them. A reproduction runs heavier, rougher inside, and the profile comes out soft and mushy instead of crisp. Your checklist. 1. Crisp, finely detailed profile with clean edges. 2. A genuinely smooth machined cooking surface. 3. Light in the hand for its size. Soft detail on a heavy rough pan means you are holding a costume. Number 2. The italic Erie, with no Griswold anywhere on it. Before Griswold was Griswold, the pans were marked simply Erie, in italic lettering, named for the town. Those run from the late 1800s into the very early 1900s, and they tend to be lighter and thinner walled than anything that came after. That mark alone can add 50 to 100% over the identical pan wearing a later logo. This is the difference between a $50 skillet and a several $100 one on the same piece of iron. The lettering is the entire value, and it stacks with everything else, which is how you get to a number 14 with a front pour spout selling for $3,249. Your checklist. 1. Italic letters. 2. The word Griswold absent entirely. 3. Check the size number, because an odd size wearing this mark is where the real money starts. And number 1. The Erie Spider Skillet. Before the Griswold name went on anything, the Erie foundry cast a small run of skillets with a spider and web in relief on the bottom. Almost nobody bought them at the time. Almost none survived. Collectors believe fewer than 200 still exist anywhere on Earth. A mint one is spoken of around $8,000, and at a specialist cast iron auction in 2024, an Erie Spider was the top piece of the entire day at $10,000. Right behind it, a Griswold number 1, pattern 411, brought $9,500. That is the top of the mountain. You can look at old iron your whole life and never put your hands on one. But it is worth knowing exactly what it looks like for one reason. A $10,000 skillet under 60 years of rust looks precisely like a 30-cent skillet under 60 years of rust. Your checklist: 1. A raised spider and web, crisp and finely detailed. 2. A gate mark, because a genuine one is 19th century iron. 3. Very thin, very light, and if you think you have one, do not scrub it and do not put it in a yard sale. Take it to somebody who knows. Now, some honesty about condition, because this is where people destroy value without ever realizing it. A crack does not reduce a pan's value, it ends it, even a hairline. Hold the pan up by the handle and tap the rim with a fingernail. A sound pan rings, a cracked one thuds, and once you have heard the difference, you will never miss it. Warp. Set the pan upside down on a flat table and push the handle. If it spins like a top, the bottom is bowed and collectors do not want it. Rust hurts far less than people think. Surface rust is dirt, not damage, and it is the single most common reason good iron gets thrown out. Baked on grease costs you nothing at all. And the big one: do not take a grinder or a wire wheel to a pan you have not identified. Grinding erases the exact casting detail you are trying to read, and any collector spots it from across a room. Identify first, clean second, never the other way around. Here is what actually gets me about all of this. Nobody teaches anybody these marks. There is no class, no pamphlet. So a family cleans out their mother's house, the whole kitchen goes on the scrap trailer, and the fellow at the scale knows precisely what he is weighing at a dime a pound. The pickers know, the scrap men know, they are counting on you not knowing. That is not a conspiracy. Nobody suppressed anything. It is an information gap, and it exists because these pans stopped being valuable objects and turned into used cookware for about 50 years, and nobody bothered to write any of it down for the people who ended up inheriting them. So tonight, go check the barn, the cellar, the summer kitchen, that shelf in the garage nobody has touched since your grandfather passed. Turn every pan over. Rake a flashlight across the bottom. Look for the smooth surface, the heat ring, the notches, the gate mark, the size number, and read the logo before you read the rust. Most of what you find will be a common number 8, worth $40 to $120, and that is a genuinely fine outcome for something that was headed to the scrap trailer. But every so often somebody tips one up in the light and sees 4 italic letters and no Griswold anywhere, and the arithmetic changes entirely. Then come tell me in the comments what the bottom actually says. Give me the name, the number, and whether there is a rough scar across it, and I will tell you what you are looking at. Subscribe if you want to keep seeing what these old places left behind and what it is genuinely worth. And stay close, because cast iron is not the only thing that goes on the scrap trailer. The next thing I want to show you was hanging in the rafters of nearly every barn in the north. Most people cut it down and sold it by the pound, and collectors now go looking for it by name.